Hello, Calaveras County, and welcome to another edition of Mondo Calaveras. I'm your host, Mike Taylor. Now, today, there's no easy way to say it, folks. We're just going to spice things up a little bit. I wouldn't have it any other way with my friend Jenny Baxter on the show. Thanks for joining me, Jenny.
I love being on your show, Mike. I love being with you. The pleasure is all mine, my dear.
Well, and you have brought only about a third of your kitchen with you today.
Not even a third, a quarter.
Oh, goodness. Okay. But I'm already getting, and I know we're going to make this one, but
yes,
boy,
we
these
are
smelling really good. But spices we're going to talk about today.
Yes, we are.
And we talked a little bit beforehand, and I'm a single man, and, so my knowledge in the kitchen is just enough to be dangerous. And what's really sad is I didn't get all of the hand-me-down recipes from my mother.
Oh, that is sad.
That had this much of that spice and that much of that one, so that I make the perfect pot roast. So what are some of the spices that a kitchen must have?
Well, I just brought my spice rack. And I have 3 of these, and 2 are filled with herbs, and 1 is filled with spices.
Okay.
Now, a lot of people confuse herbs and spices. They think they're one and the same, but they're totally different.
Okay.
Your herbs are more for savory use.
Okay.
And your spices are more for a sweeter palate, but you can also incorporate some of your spices into savory dishes as well. For instance, I always place some cinnamon stick. Now, I've cut these in half, mind you, but this is about the size of a cinnamon stick with some...
Just little
right,
half-twig
right,
kind of things.
With some star anise, and I place these into my pot that I'm cooking chicken with to make stock for soup. They are
really?
out of this world. They are wonderful.
So now I'm used to using cinnamon. We've talked before. I add cinnamon to just about every barbecue sauce I've ever made because it gives it that sort of twangy bite without making it hot spicy, because I'm not a big hot spicy fan. I like that sort of twinge that cinnamon gives it. But the star anise, that's interesting to me. That must really help bring out kind of that earthy side of the chicken's flavor.
It is, I can't even describe the flavor. It is so wonderful. You will never go back to straight carrots, celery, and onions again whenever you make your stock. Now, I also throw in some herbs. I'll put in some fresh thyme and some marjoram and garlic, and parsley, so you can jazz it up with your herbs as well, but spices just add a little. It's a very distinct flavor, and I can't even compare it to anything because I've never tasted nothing like it before.
Sure.
So,
Now, the star anise comes in that big sort of star-shaped chunk. Do you mash those or something before you use them, or you just throw them in almost like a bay leaf?
Throw them in, yeah, it's exactly what I do.
Okay, and then they get pulled out before you're
yes.
serving, too?
Yes. Because I put everything through a chinois, and then that holds all the solids, and then the liquid just goes into the pan or into the bowl.
Okay.
And then when it cools, I refrigerate it, skim the fat off the top, and you have this mouth-watering, fabulous chicken broth you use for anything.
You skim all the flavor away.
Oh, no. The flavor stays. Forget that fat, But anyway, and allspice is another great spice that you want to have in your kitchen because, again, you can see what happens is that a lot of spices are like this. They're like ground and they're dark.
Ground and it's dark. And that's basically almost like talcum powder.
Well,
that's
it is.
Really finely
but this
ground.
is your nutmeg. This is your cloves. This is your cardamom. This is your allspice. Most spices are dark and ground like this.
Okay.
Now, ginger. I'm going to just put this here for a second.
There you go.
Okay, ginger is like that, only ginger is more of a golden color. See, it's not that,
smell like just, see, and you almost don't pick up a lot of smell from something like that.
And
that's
that basically comes from a root. Now, here is whole nutmeg.
Okay.
And what you do is if you don't have any ground nutmeg, you take a whole nutmeg and a grater and you grate it, and that's how you get your ground nutmeg. And this is great over like fresh eggnog. The holidays are coming up.
I was going to say, we're getting there, so it's almost eggnog time.
Right.
Now,
and
how does that smell all by itself? You know me and my nose.
Of course.
That's just kind of earthy.
It is. Most of your spices are
on the earthier side. When you get into like cayenne, is that still a spice?
Cayenne comes from a pepper.
Okay.
So I don't know that I would. It said it's spicy, but because it comes from a plant, I would consider it to be maybe a little bit of both.
Okay.
If that kind of makes sense to you. To where now, like cinnamon comes from the bark, the inside bark of several trees.
Okay.
And it comes from Sri Lanka. And 80 to 90% of the world's cinnamon is imported from Sri Lanka.
Goodness.
Now, cinnamon and cassia, C-A-S-S-A-I, are like almost identical, except cassia is probably about this long, the sticks, to where cinnamon
really?
sticks are
Okay.
probably about this long.
Is that just a different kind of bark in the tree?
Yes.
But they all have the same flavor,
Yes,
huh?
that's exactly. So a lot of times people think they're buying cinnamon, they're actually getting cassia.
I
So
see.
that's,
Okay.
yes. So there's a difference with that there. Cinnamon was, they have records saying that cinnamon was first imported to Egypt in 2000 BC. So this,
Goodness,
this spice goes back many, many years.
That must
many,
be
many
why
years.
it's my favorite.
Yeah, mine too. I love cinnamon. I put cinnamon on everything. Now I'm going to tell you some health benefits about cinnamon.
Okay.
If you put at least a teaspoon a day into your toast, your cereal, to your coffee, whatever, that's going to help lower your cholesterol and keep your blood sugar level even.
Okay.
So, spices and herbs have a lot of health properties as well. So anyway, getting back to what I was saying, I have allspice and cardamom, and I have aniseed. Anise is like a seed. It's a licorice. Take a whiff of that.
Yeah, it's very licoricey.
Yeah, very, very
Which
licoricey.
now I don't like licorice, so would I use less of that in a recipe that calls for it, or still use it at the amount that I'm told to use to make sure that the overall flavor is what it's supposed to be?
If you don't like it, don't use it.
Okay, that's my favorite answer.
No, that's my motto, because then the dish is never going to taste good enough for you, And I also have cloves. Now, cloves are very bitter. This is ground cloves. Now the whole cloves will stick into the ham around the holiday or for making a ham.
Sure.
If you have a toothache, you stick one of those in your tooth and it numbs it. It actually numbs it and makes the toothache go away.
Yeah.
So, like I'm saying, these have a lot of benefits. 5-spice, oh my gosh, you can't live without 5-spice for any type of Asian cooking. Again, it's ground and it looks a lot.
Looks kind of like cinnamon,
right.
Really. And do you know what the 5 spices are that are in 5 spice?
Let's see. I should
Trick
know
question.
that, but off the top of my head, no.
Okay.
Okay.
But
Now,
it definitely does have that kind of beginning of chow mein smell to it.
Right. Now, always around the holiday time, I buy pumpkin pie spice, and what I don't use, I toss because I'm not going to keep
You and
it for a
everyone
year.
else on the planet.
Exactly. And in addition to what the recipe calls for this, I still even add more cinnamon, more nutmeg, nor cloves, because I love my things to have a very impactful flavor. I mean, to me, that's very important.
Oh, sure.
If you're going to have it, have that. And then, let's see, I told you the difference between that, 5-spice cinnamon sticks, anise, cardamom. Yeah, so anyway, these are the spices that are essential to my
Sort of the
kitchen.
gotta have them.
Yes, you have to have them.
Yep.
Now, I want to show you how to make a very easy cookie recipe.
Okay.
I always keep packaged puff pastry in my freezer because if somebody drops by and I haven't baked anything or I have nothing to offer, I can always go to this.
Sure.
And let me show you what this is.
Okay. Do you want to move the spice rack here?
Sure. If you'll hold this,
You got that?
I'll put the spice
Okay.
rack back down here. This is just a sheet
Just
of
a sheet,
thawed,
regular
of
old-
thawed puff pastry.
Okay.
And I roll it out a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. And then you're just going to sprinkle a little bit of sugar on.
Okay.
And
That's
we're
just a
going-
regular old.
Good old, well,
Sugar.
this is organic sugar,
Oh, okay,
but
well.
okay. Now, where did we put the cinnamon?
Probably in a place where you won't be able to find it.
Well,
now,
I'm one of those people that have to have everything in alphabetical
In the right
order,
place,
and
yep.
it's not. So
and we put it back in a hurry.
So forgive me, but I will
Don't
find
grab
it
the
in just a
5-spice
minute.
by
Oh
mistake.
God, no! Are they allspice? Oh come on, where is the
Well,
cinnamon?
actually, the allspice would be okay.
Well, yes, but
In-
but the allspice. Oh, here we go.
There you go.
But the allspice has more than one spice.
Yeah.
Okay, and then just a little bit of cinnamon. You can do this as much as you want. You know those great cinnamon rolls that you get in the mall?
Oh, sure. Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have like it packed on so thick, you have like inches of it.
They do. I imagine they use sheets of the bark.
Exactly.
And just put it in there.
Exactly,
And that's what
Mike.
makes the airport smell so good that it's torture to walk through the place.
Did you catch that aroma?
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh,
man, this is good.
See, and already that's smelling really good.
Now, you can do this one of two ways.
Okay.
You can fold this over and roll it all the way to the other end and cut it into rounds. Or what I like to do to kind of make it a little prettier is I start at one end and I roll it.
You're going to kind of pinch and roll the whole thing.
I'm going to pinch and roll. No, I'm just going to pinch and roll to the center.
Oh.
To the center. And this is about center. Then I'm going to switch around.
Oh, I see. Oh, and that way we get this kind of fun shape that cooks out as the puff pastry swells.
Right, as the puff pastry puffs, it cooks out to that degree. Okay, now we're going to roll this to the center. God, I just love that smell of cinnamon.
It really does smell good.
It makes me hungry. Cookies, ice cream.
That's it.
Syrup, pancakes, cake.
As a little kid, if we were out of chocolate syrup, I'd sprinkle cinnamon on my vanilla ice cream.
Well, that's why you're so healthy,
just as good.
see?
There you go.
And then you just basically cut, and as you cut, you're going to lay it like this, and it's going to puff up, and then the finished product looks like this.
And that's what we get.
So it's gone from this to this. So
and no butter or anything like that.
No. Are you kidding me? This puff pastry is so full of butter. It's almost like a croissant.
Okay.
So, you know, so you want to be very, very careful with that. Please
I'm gonna snack
help yourself.
Eventually, I don't want to get crummy and blow them all over you from here.
Oh, no, don't even worry about that. That's, you know.
But the, when you go, about how long do those bake?
I normally bake it at about 425 for about 15 to 20 minutes.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, I mean, they're quick.
You keep an eye on them because you want them that
golden brown,
color.
yeah, right. Now, the thing about puff pastry is that it's best if you serve it right away because sometimes if you make it and let it sit overnight, it loses the fresh taste that your palate desires.
It gets a little doughy, even.
Yes, and it gets doughy, and it almost, I don't want to say it's stale or tastes stale, but it's not the same as coming right out of the oven and having a hot cup of tea or a hot cup of coffee and a nice, I absolutely love it.
Or your pumpkin spice latte.
Yeah, there we go. Your pumpkin spice latte is absolutely right, you know.
Now, you've got, I see a bottle of rum over there,
Yes, you
so
do.
something, we're in store for something. But that actually goes to this herbs and spices thing because bartenders are getting pretty darn creative now, aren't they?
Extremely. I was at a wedding this summer. My cousin got married, and we were in the Bay Area. And my cousin ordered a drink made with basil, juniper berries, and gin. I couldn't believe it. So now they're incorporating a lot of that. So I started investigating. I am amazed at the herbs that they're pairing with alcohol these days.
I'll be darned. Well, there is a whole new push to spirits.
Right.
That are, you know, and I'm going to admit that I am one of them. I'm not a big beer fan. I like some of the specialty beers and some of the smaller brewery stuff, but the big 3 or 4 beer brands in this country is water with a yellow crayon in it, as far as I'm concerned.
I get it.
And I would rather have a cocktail that's got the flavors that I know and trust. So what are you going to whip up today?
Well, I'm going to quiz you first.
Okay.
I'm going to be making a mojito. And I'm going to ask you, do you know who was an aficionado of a mojito every time this famous author traveled to Havana?
That's Ernest Hemingway.
My God, I'm impressed. How did you come up with that answer?
I just happen to retain that kind of useless information. It'd be really nice if I could say I've read all his works and something like that, but no, I've just drank my share of mojitos,
I'm going to sign you up for the next game show, Mike. We'd probably go there. Yeah, whenever he would travel down to Cuba, he had this little favorite bar he'd go to and he'd whip up a mojito. So today I'm going to whip up a mojito for you as well. So this is your glass.
All right.
And this is my glass. And in here, we have some mint leaves.
Mint leaves,
now,
okay.
I want to talk a little bit about mint, okay? The conquering Romans brought this mint to the British Isles. And centuries later, the Pilgrims brought it to the New World. So that's how we ended up with mint.
Okay.
Now, mint needs a nice, moist, wet soil to grow in. My cousin gave me a clip, and she said, put it in a pot. If not, it'll take over. And I'm going, yeah. Well, I put it in the pot, and it took over, you know. So the landscapers came, and they cut it all down. And it just sprouted right back up again. So, I mean, I think this would be great if it was planted, you know, between stones, or if you had an area of dirt you wanted to cover, you know. But interestingly enough, in Greek mythology, this was considered the hospitality herb because they would throw it on the dirt floors, and then as you walked, it would release that beautiful flavor.
So you got a nice smell.
Right. And the Greeks and Romans, they would use it to make wine with and things like that. They used to also chew on it for a breath freshener, and you can see how that would be because we have mint toothpaste now and mint mouthwash, and so yeah, so you can see. So this is very interesting. Now, mint is not a spice; mint is an herb. Okay, so that's not a spice. Well, anyway, I'm going to pound this up a little, not pound it, but I'm going to pulverize it a little bit in my little pulverizer. Now, you can pulverize it right in the glass if you want to, but I like to just mash it up a little bit. Right. Okay. Just a little bit. And then we're going to add a couple of teaspoons of sugar, and we're going to pulverize it up a little bit more. Gosh, can you smell that fragrance?
Yeah. Yeah, it smells really good.
It certainly does.
And the sugar really helped break that up, too.
It did.
All of a sudden, you've got kind of a green, almost a paste already.
Right, exactly. That's what it does. And then we're going to add, every time I find limes on sale, like 12 for $1, 14 for 10 for $1, I buy a ton of them, and then I bring them home and juice them, and I have my own lime juice.
Oh, wow.
So I do the same thing with lemons, too. So we're going to add just a shot of this to that. I bet you this is a great drink in Savannah, or in Havana.
That's right.
You know?
Well, Savannah and Havana, they're both in the South.
You know, I wanted to tell you, too, that as far as medicinal use, mint is great for stomach aches if you have a stomach ache, or for digestion, as is ginger. That's why they have ginger ale. So if you have, like, a problem digesting something, brew some ginger tea, and oh my gosh, what a difference. It really, really helps. Okay, so this is kind of pulverized. Now, we're going to. Okay, this is what we kind of want it to look like. Now we're going to add a couple of sips of
good old rum. Now, is that a lemon rum? Is that infused?
This is a pineapple infused rum.
Oh, okay.
I thought that it might go very, very nice.
Sure.
With this. Add a couple of jiggers of this. And then we're going to mix this up again.
Boy, that's almost like, again, infusing the rum, isn't it?
Yes, it certainly is. Now, to really get an impactful flavor, I would use a dark rum as opposed to a light rum. Okay. Because it does provide a little different taste, and the impact is grand. You know.
Well, as a rum fan, the different, and that's one of those beverages that just in the past 5 or so years, again, there has become this push for the good stuff kind of thing. And so you're not getting just the regular old Ron Bacardi stuff.
No,
there are some other brands out there that are really good.
Now don't sample it yet.
Okay.
Because I'm going to ask you to open up this interesting. I'm going to ask you to open up this bottle of sparkling water.
Okay.
And we're just going,
Oh, there we go.
Muscle man. And we're just going to. Thank you. And here's to you.
And that's it. Here's to you.
Mojito friend.
Oh, and just the smell of that says...
Oh, man.
And what's interesting is it doesn't say, here's a slug of booze.
No, it doesn't.
It's, here's something that's got a really interesting flavor.
It's very, very flavorful. Very, very flavorful. Isn't that nice?
Oh, yeah. A couple of ice cubes, and that'd be great. And when would you put the ice? Would you just maybe have the ice in the glass?
Yes.
And then as you pour it in there?
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, I brought...
That lemon tightened up our mouths. Both our voices changed a little bit there.
In fact, I did bring ice, but I left it in the freezer.
Oh, well,
so,
that's all right.
you know, sorry. But yes.
Even warm, that's good. And it's actually got kind of a fall feel to it, which is surprising because a mojito feels like a summer drink.
It does, and it even sounds like a summer drink to me, I think.
Yeah,
so
it really
that's,
does.
You know.
It does. Now, when you're using herbs in cocktails, do they always get sort of mulled and ground around like that beforehand?
They should. Because what you're doing is you're releasing the essential oils in that herb, whether it be basil or mint or whatever else, sage, whatever else that you're going to add to that.
Okay. Does it, you just made these two kind of by eyeball. It almost seems like these mojitos, you could almost make enough to create a pitcher.
You could.
That you've got, and almost like a drink we made on your show, the Green Monster.
Yes,
you've got,
exactly.
Here's your base, so pour some in your glass and then add
your
the sparkling
water. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
That would be a good way to do that.
When somebody is making, maybe a basic dish that you think is an old-time favorite, like maybe a mac and cheese or something, is there a spice that you might throw in there that would jazz it up in a way that you're not expecting?
Thyme.
Thyme.
Fresh thyme. You can get chocolate thyme, you can get lemon thyme, you can get regular thyme, you can get English thyme. I love thyme. Thyme it's very painstaking because the stems are about this long with these teeny tiny leaves. So, it takes forever to destem them, but oh my God, the flavor is there.
And about how much, say you're making, what I'll call a package size,
okay, I forgot who I was talking to.
batch of mac and cheese. But, so you've got kind of one pot.
I would put in a teaspoon then,
okay.
and then you could always add more.
Sure, if it's not kind of grabbing you like you want it to.
Right, yeah.
And that might surprise the kids too. It looks like mac and cheese,
but
there's a few little green hairs in there, and it tastes different, and it's really good.
Now, if you're making your cheese sauce from scratch, when you make your roux and you add your cream, then I would release it. I would release the stems, yes.
Okay.
And then, because when you're cooking with fresh herbs, you want to add them at the very end so that it releases all the oils.
Yeah.
When you're using dry, add them at the very beginning. Because your dry herbs are a lot more powerful than your fresh herbs. But fresh herbs impart such a fabulous taste.
Well, and that's, you mentioned with the nutmeg and eggnog, that fresh eggnog on the top really gives it that, this is eggnog kind of smell that our noses are so familiar with. But we don't realize that when it comes out of the carton and we don't get that good stuff.
No, you don't. That's why I wish more people would just realize how simple it is to cook from scratch. It may take a little longer, but my God, the end product is far superior from anything you'll find in any grocery market shelf or refrigerator section.
Well, and that's it. It takes that little bit of extra time, but it's time well worth it because you're getting such a satisfying meal. And there's something, like I said, as the single guy who's cooking at home once in a while, and honestly it's once in a while because it's kind of a pain in the rear to cook for one person.
No, it's not. You got to hang around with me more.
Well, see, that's it. So yeah, when I'm camping in your driveway, you'll know why. But
but I get what
when
you're saying.
you make a dish that takes that extra bit of work, that extra time, and some forethought, I think that dish turns out all the more satisfying.
It does.
I mean, I got really good at making split pea soup. We're coming into that season. Yeah, and I'm one of those people who puts entirely too much ham hock in there because I like enough ham and that really kind of savory meat flavor to permeate that split pea soup, which that's always been one of my favorite, that and cream of mushroom soup. But cream of mushroom is one of those that we need to lean on the chef to make for us because that one's a little more complicated, isn't it?
It is, but if you make it from scratch and add a little sherry, oh my God, it's so good, Mike.
There's always a trick for it.
It's delicious.
When you go to buy your spices, you're going to buy, let's say, the dry powdered stuff that is sitting in everybody's cabinets.
Right.
How do you buy that? You buy quite a bit. You know, you can go to Costco and buy a keg of cinnamon. Is that cinnamon as good as the stuff that comes in a little small package?
No, and
Okay.
I'm going to tell you why. Because spices, like everything else, and herbs, like everything else, gets old. So
Okay.
when you buy the big old jumbo, and you got it for 2, 3, 4 years, and you got something small that's replenished every month or two.
So by the time you
says it off.
get a year into it, and what is their shelf life? Maybe about a year for, in your cabinet?
Yes, I would say about a year. Normally in the fall, I'll go through all my spices, and what I haven't used, I'll toss and I'll replenish again.
Okay.
Because fall is when I start a lot that baking.
I was going to say,
And a
that's
lot
when
of
your
stock.
kitchen goes into
Right.
high gear.
Yes, exactly, and a
And
lot of
sure.
stock. So like these here, these that I haven't used, they'll get trashed, the jars will get washed, and I'll either be at the
Okay.
Spice Tin or R.D. Kern Company just filling up my little bottles.
Yeah. And what's the most expensive spice? Is it still saffron?
It certainly is.
It is, okay.
It certainly
And then
is.
the rest of them, they're all kind of in the middling
Yeah.
ground, aren't they?
Right.
There's not really many
You're right.
many of these spices
Right.
that are going to break your bank.
Right. Now, you can buy the spices that are packaged and have your own containers, and you can save about $1 or so. Or you can buy them that come in a jar already, but the jar is plastic, it's not glass.
Yeah.
And then you can just throw away the jar and go get a new jar, you know.
Okay.
I like to buy the packages and fill my own. That's just how I am.
Yeah. Well, that's because your kitchen has
Exactly.
what it has, where it has it, as
Exactly.
any chef's kitchen would.
Thank you.
Now, as we're just about out of time,
Yes.
if someone's going to the grocery store, is that where you buy your spices?
If I'm going to, yes, if I'm in a grocery store, I buy them either from Angel's Market or Sierra Hills Market because they do carry R.D. Kern, and I love his spices because his spices are replenished every couple of months. He
Yeah.
doesn't let them sit around forever.
Does good stuff. He's out of Tuolumne County, I
Yes,
think?
yes, he
Yeah.
is. But he lives in Calaveras.
Oh, okay.
And if I can, I love to get up to the Spice Tin. The Spice Tin has every herb in the
Murphy's.
world you can think about. I love that store. I could spend a week in that store. And I have.
And your car smells great
It
on the ride
certainly
home.
does.
Well, Jenny, once again, we've had some fun.
Yes, we always do.
What do you
Mr.
know? We made
Taylor.
another cocktail.
I know. Can you believe it?
But we also learned an awful lot about spices and herbs, and I can't thank you enough for sharing that good information with us.
course.
And the next time you come here, maybe we'll make something super savory that wakes us all up.
You bet.
All right.
Like some split pea soup?
That's it. Well,
Thank
ladies
you.
and gentlemen, thanks for joining us. Jenny Baxter, thanks for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you for
Join me
inviting
next time on Mondo Calaveras when we'll have another good spicy time. Take care, folks. We'll see you next time. Thanks.